are live. Eric Butler, we are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, uopod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I gotta vote for Trump, dude.
It's great here, a lot of fat chicks and a lot of screaming.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate.
It's mental, mate. Ozzy, what are you doing? Great way to start the podcast. Eric Butler, myself.
Don't forget Kelly Osborne, who said, if you get rid of all the immigrants, who's going to scrub your I can't do the voice. Who's going to scrub your toilets, Donald Trump? That's what she said.
That's the same accent every black person has for a British person. Demonetized already on YouTube today, so that doesn't even matter. I believe we are streaming for the first time live on Rumble. I'm checking. I see my beard on this, which on Rumble. So welcome anybody watching on Rumble for the first time. Eric has a problem with my beard, also.
Well, it's getting a little out of control, right? I mean, look, hey, if I could do it, I would. Mine's just not going to come in that strong, unfortunately. So kudos to you for that.
Is your head hair curly?
That sounds gay. Sounds gay.
Could you grow an afro?
Absolutely.
So and why don't you do that?
Afros several times. Well, because it's stupid. It looks stupid.
Listen, there are now laws in place that will allow you to do that. And apparently cornrows. Well, cornrows are a natural thing. I guess some people's hair just grows out and it gets braided naturally, which I thought was a process that took hours, but according to some jurisdictions now.
Well, it's something you do in high school, right? Like even my mom, and my dad, like they had afros when they were in high school in the 70s. When were they in high school? 60s, maybe 60s or 70s. Yeah. So it's always just something that young, stupid people do. Nobody walks around. Nobody's taking an adult man seriously with an afro. It's just not happening.
Did Allen Iverson help the cornrows, help popularize them?
Absolutely. And that's why all the young little, early 2000s kids, right? Like, so you might have been in high school in 05 or 07 or something, and you grew up and definitely wanted the cornrows. And yeah, I probably did that partly because of Allen Iverson. And thank God that everybody didn't have a phone in their pocket. You'd be hard pressed to find a picture of me with cornrows. So I think that's a good thing.
Allen Iverson also caused the dress code to happen. But in any event, before we get into cornrow history, we've got lots to get to today. We've got John Fetterman, the Dark Knight. He returned to the airwaves with another hilarious, almost minute-long speech. We've got some asylum seekers in New York City who've been hot on the presses. They're trying to go everywhere. They're upset with their food. I'm sure some of them are just thankful to be in the country, but that's not the news we're getting.
San Francisco from the left this time.
Oh, San Francisco. My apologies. I guess I got some stuff to learn here. Right. It's the ones that were flown over from other states, Florida and Texas particularly. Yeah. Then we got some more books that you don't want your kids reading, but they're directed for children. We'll learn more about that. And who knows where the wind will take us, Eric? Patreon.com/UOPod. We have a bonus podcast there every single week on our Patreon. If you want to sign up for that, you get usually an hour. I think last week we went pretty long, an hour and a half. Unsolicited, unauthorized opinions.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Tucker Carlson said the words unauthorized opinion on his last episode. We're gonna have to clip that and just pretend.
I did not know that, but
we'll pretend that he said it about us, obviously. And there's something else I wanted to mention, but I don't know anymore. But John Fetterman's back. He's in business. We're gonna bring him up. I think.
Wait, are we gonna talk about your video at all?
What video? Chris
the
Sky
video
event?
That you just posted at the Chris Sky thing. Yeah, well, because you you of course had the hot black chick, right? That was good thumbnail. And the Kim Kardashian t-shirt.
Kim Kardashian t-shirt.
Well, she like notoriously went viral saying, "I didn't come this far just to come this far." You don't remember that?
That's not a Kim Kardashian t-shirt. That's a Mike the Situation t-shirt, Eric from Jersey Shore, who follows me on Twitter FYI. So let's just get that straight. And there's so many characters. I just try to talk to everybody. And this one girl was, we're only a few minutes in here, so I won't say the SH word. She was trash talking OnlyFans, so obviously everybody wants to hear about that. Old French guy with a skullet was amazing. He talked like this. I thought he was one of my relatives. He thought everything was okay, which is weird that he's at a Chris Sky event, and because when he thinks everything's good in Toronto. So that was odd. It was really Chris Sky's
reunion.
Yeah, exactly. I called it that too. Chris Sky's Italian, and there was a lot of Caribbean people there as well because that's who lives in the area. So, and my girlfriend's Italian, so it was very much like, in early 2000s Italian barbecue. They had Sean Paul playing nonstop. They had a DJ there out of the back of a van, and then they had this other guy, an MC, separate from the DJ. I guess they took turns. I don't know, or if they were coordinated. But this one guy goes on the mic and he's just like, "What's up, everybody? Who here supports Chris Guy? Woo! Who's gonna vote for Chris Guy for mayor? Woo! All right, let's get back to the party." And then goes, "And the way they not be taking you just right into Sean Paul."
I'm just afraid, and you're a little bit more optimistic than me on this. I just don't see in the Western world at this particular point in time, and I hate to be super black-pilled, I don't see any of this ruling class establishment hacks just being voted out of office. Oh yeah, we lost. We're leaving. It's not going to happen. These are power-hungry tyrants. So.
I mean, I don't think he's going to win, but it's just insane to me. I wonder how much vote the person needs. There's hundreds of candidates. I'm guessing the winning percentage is going to be like 12%, if I had to guess. If I had to wager a guess.
Okay.
So,
and last thing before we get, because we obviously have to get onto the show, but what's up with the weird guy who got kicked off? He's like a agitator or something with the camera.
Got kicked
like
off.
Weird, like
soy.
Oh,
okay, so that's Donald. Shout out Donald Smith. He is a notorious character in the Canadian political scene. They kicked him. Well, listen, Donald's a little rough around the edges. He has a tendency to say unsightly things at people. He's a good guy. I don't know if he's special or not. But he's a nice
spectrum.
But he's a nice guy. One of the Canadian broadcasters has actually done hit pieces about him after he got kicked off a bus for not wearing a mask a couple of years ago. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know why they kicked him out. Maybe he was causing a scene. Maybe he wasn't. But I'm always happy to talk to Donald because he's very entertaining and he's honest. So,
and he was fresh out of jail, apparently.
He was,
okay.
Donald Smith Photography, I believe he goes by on Instagram. So shout out Donald Smith.
Jesus Christ, he's gonna have to pay for that. All right, moving on.
Moving on, we've got the Fetter Watcher, better known as, I don't know, he's the hero we've always wanted, and he is
Fetter
back.
Woman.
We don't even know. I don't even know what he's talking about here. Okay, they're talking about the I-95 bridge collapse, and he is trying to say, I think, that
this is crazy, bro.
He's trying to say something about that you should care about it. Of course, he's not making sense. Let's check out John Fetterman.
Earlier today, some comments about the tragic accident on I-95, and if you want to make any comments with respect to that, feel free. You're recognized.
No, I would just really like to, the 95, obviously that, you're pretty much preoccupied with 95, and I know I certainly am too, and we know it's a major artery, not just for Pennsylvania, but for the East Coast. And a lot of Pennsylvanians are worried that the delays in repairs bring to its standstill.
Do we want to watch that again? Maybe just a little bit? I say yes.
I thought I saw another version of it that was actually a little bit longer. I don't know. I don't remember where I saw it, but yeah. I mean, let's try to decipher it one more time and see if. Well,
accident on 995. And if you want to make any comments with respect to that, feel free. You're recognized.
I don't know.
Did you hear the whistling of this guy's nose?
Was that what that is? I didn't know what that
It
was.
sounded like the hurricane or the tornado when Dorothy's in Wizard of Oz going by with special
I don't know
effects.
what that was.
I would just really like to, the 95, 95. Obviously that you're pretty much preoccupied with 95, and I know I certainly am too. And we know it's a major eatery, not just for Pennsylvania, but for the East Coast. And a lot of Pennsylvanians are worried that the delays in repairs bring to its standstill deal.
Okay, so I think we know what his paper says, and what he's trying to say, Eric, is that the I-95 is a big deal and everyone's focused on it, and it connects. It's an interstate, not an eatery, that connects a whole bunch of other places on the East Coast, and people are worried about how long it's going to take to fix. That's what I think his paper says. But the 95, 95. It's starting to sound like a 1950s radio commercial.
Yeah. So I was actually mistaken because I was thinking about the clip that he had with Joe Biden, right? So that one's been going viral for the last couple of days as well. Did you see that one?
No,
So
I'll
there's
try to
another one. So
find it.
I was kind of mashing two of them together, but this is the state, bro. This is how stupid they think we are. I mean, look, it's very clear that he's not quite. Look, we all know he's not quite there. But of course, that's the victim card, so you can't say that. Even though, as we've been continuously told, that white men are the problem, but not this one because he's mildly retarded and it's okay. Okay, this is how stupid they all think we are. Now, of course, most people aren't gonna sit down and watch C-SPAN and listen to this guy talk, but it's almost. I mean, I remember back at the beginning of the Joe Biden campaign, people were saying like, "Oh, this is elder abuse," and like this is very similar now. Obviously, Fetterman's not quite as old, but even in the other clip when he's talking alongside Joe Biden, he still doesn't even have the decency. And I don't want to go super old school, like you got to wear a suit and tie, but come on, bro, at least throw a blazer on. He's still
Is
wearing
it
the
this
Carhartt
one?
hoodie, and I don't see anything right now,
You don't see anything.
but they
But what's
feed.
there?
I don't see it either. Okay. Yeah, I believe this is it. But and we can watch it. Oh, it's only 36 seconds. So I say we watch this one as well. But this is what there's people in the political ruling class in the establishment that think we can't see through this, bro. Like they're literally thinking like, or do they? Or they know that they're just forcing this on people and this is their death throes. This is the end of them. So they're just throwing everything at the wall. There's no way that anybody who's 50, 60, 70 years old in the American government thinks that the American people can look at this and say, oh, well, this is, or the people of Pennsylvania, more specifically in this case, like this makes total sense. Like he won all the, like, it's mind boggling, as some might say.
Boggling, you might even say.
Well, bottling, right? Isn't that from the Will Ferrell movie? Anyways, let's
Anyways.
check this one out. Carhartt hoodie.
Yeah, I only learned what Carhartt was like a week ago. About a week ago.
Standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here, and he is here to commit to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well too. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure, yeah, and then on top of that, the dual kind of a law of the inflation bill that is going to make sure that there's going to be bridges all across America getting rebuilt. And now,
when Joe Biden is looking at you and be like, what is this guy saying? That's what I'm laughing at. I feel bad for Fetterman. He shouldn't be there. Biden also shouldn't be there. But when Biden's standing there, falling asleep and being like, what the hell, man? What is it? Come on, man. What is this guy saying? There's a huge problem. Either he's falling asleep or he can't believe what's happening.
But what's worse about this though is like, look at him. They prop him out there in this car. And look, I actually like Carhartt. Now it became kind of like this hipster thing, but
Mhm.
it literally will last you decades. Like you buy a hoodie, you buy a pair of pants, like it lasts you. Anyways, they put him out there in this Carhartt stuff. It's big in the Midwest, right? They put him out there because they think that this is going to resonate with the regular folks. So
Mhm.
they put a big dumb idiot in a Carhartt hoodie, and that's what they think. They think you are John Fetterman. They think the people of Pennsylvania are John Fetterman. So look, he bought his Carhartt hoodie from Bass Pro Shop. He's just like you. He's also retarded, and you're retarded if you believe that anything we do is for your own good. That's what's happening here. It's disgusting.
Well,
And we got two. That's a twofer right there, because I had in my brain I had mashed these two clips together, and they're two separate ones. Like this is how bad it's gotten.
again, this is a sad situation where the people around these two guys should not be allowing this to happen. They're the people that they're connected to or that have latched themselves onto them have no remorse, no soul to be like, "Hey, we can't do this, and you're coming with me. Joe, you should be in the retirement home. You've been in politics for 300 years, cross millennia, cross dimensions. And John Fetterman, you were a mayor. You actually won this race somehow, but still, you shouldn't be here. We'll pretend, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I have no actual information of this. We'll pretend that you went to admit yourself for depression, even though it's because you have brain issues and recall issues, and let's send you home. You've done, like, you deserve a pension or something, whatever it is. But like, you can't be a person who claims to love these people and put them out there. I think of if you have a superstar athlete as a husband in this case, or a father, or whatever it might be, a brother, and they're amazing. Not saying that these guys are amazing, but they've been in the league, they've been in the NFL for 10 years, right? And then all of a sudden they get 4 concussions and they really want to be there, or a boxer and they really want to be there and their heart is in it. Even if they really want to be there, their health is at risk and you have to be like, look, this isn't worth it. You might die. Joe Biden could fall down again. He could literally die. When Hillary was out there and she was slipping on stuff because of the concussion she had and her balance was off. She had a severe concussion. When you're 60, that's not easy to recover from. And she's fallen
Remember the
down
brain
steps in
issues Joe
India.
Biden had?
She's
Remember the
fallen.
brain issues that he had like back in the 80s?
No, I don't.
Dude, Joe Biden had like a pair of brain surgeries in the like late 80s, bro.
Huh. Well, my
I'm not a doctor. I don't know the specific terms of it, but like he had work done on his brain decades ago.
My point is that Biden falls all the time and he could literally die from a bad fall. If he lands, imagine it was him in the spot where Hillary's falling down those little steps in whatever country she's in. Those little, like, I don't know if they were stone or mud steps, but they were really thin and she kept slipping down on her butt. Imagine that was Biden. He falls and cracks his head open and the president dies. It's like, not only could that be prevented, but it's a terrible tragedy that the president just dies from falling as opposed to in a war or something like that. So yeah, and then John Fetterman's just going to get worse and worse the more stress they put him under. They're going to try, I think what's going to happen with him is they'll dip him in, they'll dip him out, and just hope to get him to that next election, right? And be like, sign here, John. What's the thing we covered that they put him up for? What's the thing with the food, that act that they were complaining about wasn't getting any money? There's the press conference he held.
Oh yeah, where he was
Is
mumbling and
it
rambling about
CARES?
your. I don't remember the name. Probably that sounds about right. Some euphemistic nonsense that these people come up with.
But
I
yeah,
do vaguely remember that, and he was like, "You're taking food."
yeah, so that's what they'll do. They'll
Ma.
be like, let's put him in something simple that we advocate for to get money out of people for, that we can throw him out, and we don't need complex explanations about it. We can just say, go out there and me want food. And I feel bad making fun of them, but this is the position you put them in. It's like when they put the super fat women on Sports Illustrated or something like that, where it's like, you have put this person in a position to be mocked because you've lied to them. And just like
Yeah.
the gargoyles on Sports Illustrated or on any number of women's magazines, and you're just like, you're beautiful and there's no such thing as being fat, well, then you've opened them up to mockery. And Ryan Long actually told me about a story where there was like a woman on one of these like UK sex island shows, basically, who's really big, and the internet made fun of her so much, and she killed herself because of it. And it's like, you set her up
You
for
mean
this
big like
abuse.
fat,
Yes.
not big like a big personality. Well,
No.
I just well, clearly these people are evil, right? They're the people around them that you're talking about. They're setting them up as sort of like patsies. This is real like C. Montgomery Burns stuff. Like, this
Canary
is a
and
patsy. You're
Burns.
gonna, yeah, yeah, you're gonna take the fall. We all know, and we're behind the curtain, pulling the strings. But I think also, why is it? And I mean this genuinely. This is not really a rhetorical. Oh, maybe I know, but they love, right? So they have this big, goofy looking white guy, which of course we're told that we're not, that white guys are the problem. But so they have to get this guy with all these problems. So he's not just regular. So he has the victim card. And that's why I can assume they love the fact that, oh, he goes to the hospital for depression. He's such a hero. Why on earth is somebody who's admitted themselves into a hospital for depression? What? Bro, you're a grown man. Snap out of it. We don't want to hear about how what are you depressed about, bro? That you've been installed into the federal government, state government somehow, and you're depressed about it, and that's what makes you a good person, even though you can barely even talk. And it's obviously, it's fairly clear that he's having a hard time comprehending what is said to him as well. So they champion these people. Like, the more problems you get, right, it's currency, and it's ridiculous, and it's insulting to people who don't have a litany of problems and are deemed a villain for not being mildly retarded. Jesus.
Eric's very mean to the special needs today. Shout out to Zip912Z, or Z, if you will, on YouTube, who says it's the SNAP program is what it's called. It'd be SNAP where the people get food from, and they tied it into that debt ceiling bill so they can be like, oh, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, you don't want to do more debt? Well, you're taking food out of needy people's
And this is also
mouths.
why they like the junkies, and why they like to, of course, why they like the sanctuary cities too, is because they can have these people that are on the brink of death, basically, and they're not going to ask any questions. They're just going to be thankful for the crumbs that this corrupt establishment throws them. So,
It's
right, like,
mhm.
you want people to die, and we know this. How many times have we been through? It's always life and death. If you don't want to go into more debt, to give these people some free stuff, and John Fetterman's gonna do his what's the thing? What's the people compare him to? The Goonies, right? He looks like the
Mhm.
weirdo from the
Well, what did they do
Okay.
immediately when they got this debt ceiling raised again? Gave more money to Ukraine, $500 million to Ukraine immediately within 2 weeks, I believe it was. And then
Yeah, well,
you've got the
that's a
Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, doing this whole thing where it's just like, we'll never give in. Just like when they said they'll never pass that other vote earlier, or the budget. We'll never give in. Actually, we got what we want, so it's okay now. So it's really strange. And, it's one of those holes that you hope Trump can dig you out of. Now, obviously, if I'm taking the shout out anomaly side of things, Trump printed a ton of money himself, um, vaccines and everything. But whatever Trump was doing economy wise, everything was pretty good. Everybody was happy with that, I think. Another thing that's interesting with the whole Trump DeSantis thing is the polls. DeSantis getting crushed in them. I'm not sure if that surprised anybody or not, but I said it, like, he could just wait. He could have just waited another 4 years.
yeah.
And who are they going to throw up against him? Who? Who?
Look, and Riley Gaines, it has publicly come out and backed DeSantis, which I thought was strange.
Probably because he's one of the first people to do the no men and women sports things, which is popular across the country, which is good. Like, that's the thing. DeSantis has good policies that people can point towards, but why have you done all your work in 4 years? Like, you're done. You're done being in Florida. You just want to be president. Like, I don't understand. You'd have to explain to me why, like, after 4 years you're just like, well, I've done everything I
Yeah,
can
no,
in
I mean, it
Florida.
was
Now it's time to be president.
No, yeah, it's a bad idea. And look, I not to like toot my own horn or pat myself on the back, but I don't mind DeSantis. I'm not like, oh, DeSantis derangement syndrome, but from the very beginning, there was something I couldn't, it's just a feeling, bro. It's a gut feeling. I was like, I don't know about this guy. He always came off to me as just a right-wing version of Gavin Newsom. It's like this weird kind of slippery, slimy little dude who
Have you
throws red meat at
seen
the base. So
have you seen these old commercials of DeSantis where he's like reading his kid a Trump book and he's
and the
getting
fake
it
AI image,
getting his
the
yeah,
AI ad.
he's also I'm trying to find it. He's getting his baby to like build the wall in blocks. DeSantis pro Trump ad wall children I'm going to go with. Here it
I
is.
think I saw
Found
this.
it. Yeah, I saw it for the first time the other day, and it's pretty wild, like how you can go from loving Trump and all his policies this much to being against him.
Got his wife there.
Yes, it is. Casey, don't call me Anthony. To say that. I'm sorry. Casey Anthony's from
Wow.
Florida. Joking.
This is endorsed by President Trump, but he's also an amazing dad. Ron loves playing with the kids.
Build the wall.
He reads stories.
Then Mr. Trump said, "You're fired." I love that part.
He's teaching Madison to talk.
Make America great again.
People say Ron's all Trump, but he is so much more.
Big league. So good.
I just thought you should know.
Ron DeSantis for governor.
I actually do remember seeing that. I actually do
DeSantis
remember
for
seeing
governor.
Rob. He's going by Rob now. So
Is he?
that's we're
What?
going with. That's
Talking
that's
about-
kind of that's like the Trump insult, just to call him Rob, because he just doesn't
Yeah,
know
I don't know
his
his
name.
name. Well, that's just wild. Obviously, that's from after Trump endorsed him. Maybe before, I'm not sure. But going for governor when he most certainly won only because Trump endorsed him. I mean, when you win by
Imagine,
one,
oh my God.
when you
If-
only win
if
by
Gillum would
1%,
have won in
yeah.
Florida.
Would have been insane. But it's just strange. I think he's done a good job of not like really bashing Trump, but he certainly changed his tune on the "I'm never going to indict Trump" from the first indictment. He said that, and then a couple months later, Trump's getting arrested in Florida. So that changed a little bit. Not helping in the polls, neither here nor there. What is this? So these migrants, they flew from Florida to California. I believe they dropped them off at City Hall or the mayor's house or the governor's house in Sacramento, capital of California.
Yeah, in Sacramento. Yep. And what's funny about this is, first of all, there's only 36 of them, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So for California, a place that claims to be this sanctuary state, right? Like where everybody's welcome. What's the old rallying
No
cry?
human is
No
illegal.
one is illegal on stolen land. Yeah. So they freak out when they get 36 migrants, which you claim to have wanted. And as we've seen before with some of the migrants that were found overdosed in New York, and they didn't just walk. Look, this, first of all, they're also hopping on this asylum seeker term, so that's spreading, right? I believe
Mhm.
Eric Adams was like the main guy spearheading that, and it is now spread like wildfire, like this disgusting.
Everyone's an
weirdo.
asylum seeker.
Everyone's an asylum seeker, but they come from Venezuela, Colombia, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. Now, of course, I am no geography. I'm not, as one bartender once said, I'm not the expert on geopolitics. That was AOC. Anyways, so
Sounds
they're
just
coming from
like
these
that.
countries. They're coming from these countries. So how do you call them asylum seekers? And why are you so up in arms about 36 of them? We're not talking about 3,600. We're not talking about 36,000. We're talking about 36 people that you basically requested. You call them asylum seekers, even though they trekked through multiple countries to get here. And now they're angry because they were misled.
Well, isn't
Imagine.
Sacramento up in the north part?
Yes.
Yeah, so they don't want them there. The establishment bureaucrats up in Sacramento, the capital city, They're not used to this, is
Gavin.
my guess. So they're just like, whoa, we can't. We said these people are okay, but only, in the San Diegos and the Los Angeles.
But didn't even Martha's, if I recall correctly, and I'm sure somebody can fact check me, didn't Martha's Vineyard get even more than 36? Didn't they get like 50 or something? And they
I think
freaked
they got
out.
a couple hundred, yeah, because they're super
Yeah.
rich and they don't have anywhere to put these people. Surprise, surprise. There's a news report that we can watch about it.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit long, but I just want you to. Did you watch it already, or is this your
No.
first go around? Okay,
not
so
watched it.
let it rip. This is
have
it's
confirmed
dark,
that
bro.
they orchestrated 2 of the flights from El Paso to Sacramento. Governor Ron DeSantis' administration released this video and says the migrants signed paperwork agreeing to head to the Golden State. California Governor Gavin Newsom has suggested kidnapping charges for DeSantis. His state's attorney general is now investigating whether those flights were illegal.
Human beings are being used as political
Wait,
pawns
pause
in
it,
someone's
pause it,
political
pause it,
game.
pause it, pause it. They are worried now if the flights were illegal, and they do not question the people who that's immediate. Then you start to realize immediately why they are so caught up on this term asylum seeker, because their whole argument collapses if you just say, oh, well, they came here illegally. So now they're worried about the flights, but it gets worse, bro. It gets worse.
They sign this thing probably in Spanish because there's a lot of people that speak Spanish in Florida. It says you agree
I think
to
they actually talk about that as well in the clip.
We believe these individuals were lied to, deceived, manipulated, exploited, and abused.
Abused.
So what's happening here? New York Times national
Here's where it gets really
correspondent
good.
Sean Hubler joins
Listen
us
to this woman.
now, and one thing that we've
New York
noted
Times.
is that Florida officials say these migrants signed paperwork to go to California. What do you make of that? Is that accurate? And even if so, how relevant would that be?
Yeah, it's likely to be quite challenging for California to have much legal recourse in this case. Although the Attorney General is exploring what criminal and civil liability Florida might have for this kind of transport. I mean, these were 36
Listen to her, though. She's
Latin
not sure of
American
anything.
migrants. They were mostly from Venezuela. They arrived kind of abruptly, first in one plane on Friday and a second plane on Monday in Sacramento without, and usually there's a coordination among NGOs and among states when migrants are transported this way for court dates or for to be nearer to sponsors, that sort of thing. And in this case, these migrants, who, to be clear, are fleeing desperate poverty, or said they were fleeing desperate poverty in places like Venezuela, South and Colombia.
I just want to pause there. Poverty is not a reason why you're allowed to be claim an asylum seeker. I'm poor, therefore it's called economic migration, which is what a lot of people want to do. And that's not a reason why you just get into a country. Like, I would like to.
And on top of
can
that,
I just walk into the States because I want, a cheaper house? I would love to do that. Economic situation is not a real claim.
Yes, but so now they're that's strike 2. So not only, and again, I'm not an expert on this, but you can't claim asylum if you walk through 4, 5, 6 countries.
Exactly.
And you can't claim asylum if you just want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, as the great Tim Pool once said. You're an economic migrant. Okay. And her stuttering, her mumbling and bumbling, it actually gets worse. This woman who works for the New York Times is she's trying to weasel her way around it, but it's just not going very well. And unfortunately, because they constantly twist themselves into these pretzels, they've already admitted twice now that these people are not quote unquote asylum seekers, but they still use it because that's how stupid they think we are. It's very frustrating.
And we're here, we're in this country seeking asylum. They seem to have no idea where they were going or why they were going there, but they were carrying paperwork, and the paperwork indicated that they had signed these waivers in English that had been explained to them, they said in somewhat broken Spanish, that said that they agreed to be flown, that they understood they were being taken to Sacramento, California, and although it was not on the paperwork, according to the immigrants or to the migrants, there had been promises by this contractor from Florida. Run by the Department of Emergency Services, I guess, in Florida, that was started by the state and Governor Ron DeSantis there, ostensibly to underscore the burdens of immigration and President Biden's policies on immigration and the problems at the border, and to force other states to share that burden. So these migrants had not gone to Florida. They weren't in Florida. They were in Texas and had been rounded up outside of a migrant center there. But the Florida program allows the state to pay for their transport anywhere.
Oh yeah, look at that! Look at that bunch.
So obviously, this woman is trying really hard to claim that, to make sure she doesn't say that what they did is perfectly legal, because these are illegal aliens who don't have the right to say where they're going to go, and then sign paperwork that said they're okay with where they're going to go, and then the government paid for their flights to Sacramento. Obviously, I think it should be obvious that none of that's illegal, because the other option is they come in through Texas where they came in through, and then you release them and they're expected to come back, which is the standard operating procedure for people who aren't, high risk criminals, and are just illegal aliens, even though in the eyes of the law, that's a felony in itself, of course. You can't just go through the border, and then faking a claim for asylum is also another crime. And you should be sent back to the country that was next to your country where you're supposed to claim asylum. So this woman can't come out and say that, so she has to stutter for 6 minutes or whatever that was to not say that.
Yeah, bro. This is incredibly dark, right? So they are now trying to get us to believe that the crime is committed after the migrants show up, and Gavin Newsom is talking about trying to get Ron DeSantis on kidnapping. How stupid do you think we are, bro? I guess that's the running theme of this episode. And it's like, okay, if somebody showed up at your door, and I know the weird occultists kind of hate this analogy, but if somebody showed up at your door and they said, okay, you know what, we don't have room for you, so I am going to send you to I'm going to send you to somebody else's house that has 2 extra rooms, but we don't want that. We don't want to go there. We want to stay. And the migrants don't know what's going on. And she kind of tried to make a point about how it was written in English and explained to them in broken Spanish. Every single thing, if you do not bend over backwards, it's very similar to the LGBTQ stuff, right? If you do not bend over backwards and capitulate to every single thing we need, we don't want to eat your stupid peanut butter and jelly. We want empanadas from our homeland. No, you got to go back, bro. And this lady stumbles and bumbles around her words for 6 minutes, like you said, even after admitting that these people are not asylum seekers twice over, and they still just use it because this is another one of their Democrat doublespeak type of things where they're literally doing the exact opposite of what they're telling you they're doing. It's absolute insanity.
Yeah, the hoops they have to jump through to not back up the policies that they've been supporting for 7 years now, 8 years now almost, about how great it is to have everybody come into the country with no plan of what to do with them. And then the numbers have absolutely exploded under Biden. You can go and look for yourself. The U.S. Customs and Border Services website has it broken down, and you can just go in there and compare Trump and Biden's. And this isn't just a support Trump thing. Just go in there and compare the numbers. And it's not something you can say like the economy, where Trump benefited from the economy or Biden didn't benefit from Trump's economy, etc. This is just between 2016 and 2020. This is how many people were allowed to cross the border illegally. And between 2021, I guess, and 2023, how many people have crossed the border illegally, and how many people and how many pounds of drugs have been brought over the border. It's astonishing. It's record numbers. I had a conversation with a friend a few months ago now, and he didn't believe me when I said over 100,000 people a month. He's just like, "There's no way. It's probably like 10,000," and it's 100,000 people a month.
It's
And this is just the world we live in.
and they're saying that these people were deceived. They were lied to. By who? Are we to believe that there's just been this huge surge in asylum seekers since Joe Biden has been in office? So now suddenly, in war-torn Nicaragua, apparently that just broke out since early 2021 when Joe Biden was inaugurated. So I mean, there's no correlation there at all. So you want us to believe that Governor Ron DeSantis or Greg Abbott or something in Texas lied to them, even though you had Kamala Harris and Joe Biden basically actively calling for more people and saying, "Oh, the wall is racist." And do you remember it was a year or two ago when we had actual video of migrants coming out of the river basically saying, "Oh, Joe Biden said he let us in."
Mm-hmm.
Like that actually happened. But now we can erase that. That didn't happen. If you recognize a pattern, you are, of course, a conspiracy theorist. You don't pretend that you remember any of the things we did, more than 48 hours ago, because we've changed now.
Here are the numbers. The raw data, if we're talking like Chef Gordon Ramsay. So as you can see, 2020, the last year Trump is in office, right? And this is fiscal year, so it overlaps. So you can still see the difference: 45,000, 46, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 2021. We can compare the entire year's numbers to the next 2 years. 500,000 under Trump, 1.7 million under Biden. So that's more than triple. 2022, 2.3 million. So we've almost gone up 5 times, or probably approximately 5 times the yearly encounters on the southwest border. And you can see,
and then it starts to decline a little bit. Well, I guess we're only halfway through the year, but
exactly. So we got 1.5. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 7 months here at 1.4. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a quick math here, Eric Butler.
And this is also, I'm quite literally, and I know I can assume I'm not the only one getting advertisements into my Gmail for Border Patrol jobs. $20,000 sign-on bonus. So they're spamming people to get them to work at the border now after years of telling you that ICE is racist, even though it's like largely Hispanic, largely Latino, people who work at these border jobs. But they were racist. We need to fire. No, okay, sorry.
So if we
say
divide 1.43 million by 7, which is there's 7 months so far, we were averaging 204.5 thousand. So 204,566 people per month. And if we times that by 12, which is 12 months of the year, we're going to hit a new record of 2.45 million, which is more than the 2.378 million of last year. So if trends continue, and as we can see, they've only gone up. They were down in January and February, probably because it's colder. Don't know the actual reason why, but they've continued to gone back up. And if we take the monthly average and spread it out, it's going to be another record year. And then they have the drug confiscation somewhere down here as well by pound. You can find them. I think maybe it's on the left-hand side here. Unaccompanied minors.
Cool.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot more. Look,
can you imagine 2.5 people? So there's 2.5 million people, Eric, where you visited approximately. That's like 5 cities around where I live,
that's amazing,
including Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, New York is a major city, right? The country's largest, America's largest city with a population of around 8 million. Okay. But that's the biggest city in the whole country. I don't think even Los Angeles, I don't believe even really comes close to that. I don't know population wise, but that's a lot of people. And they clearly, they want this to happen. They like this. They love the underclass, right? I mean, even Nancy, obviously we talked about Kelly Osbourne at the top of the show, Nancy Pelosi, they say the quiet part out loud constantly, like, well, who's going to pick the crops? They're going to do the jobs that Americans don't want to do, yada, 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 all this, all that. And even if that were the case, you're still going a little heavy-handed, right? Like, even if that were the case, even if you need a, Mr. Superman no here, even if you need a couple of those people to trim your hedges and watch your little baby for pennies on the dollar, you've gone too far.
Is that a
Okay,
Family Guy
so let's reel
reference?
it in. Yeah.
Oh no. It's from Cassie Dillon. I forget who she works for. Fox News, I guess at this point.
No.
Um,
I thought it was something else too.
I really can't believe they're teaching this to kids, as we've covered many times on the show, including on our YouTube channel, which you can find at unauthorizedopinions.com. Leads you right to it. We reviewed a book of pronouns pointed towards kids, directed at kids, and this is some more stuff that they're doing. Let's see.
I mean, that was for kids. There was no, I mean, it was a kid's book. It wasn't like kid friendly or like
Yeah.
you can read this to. This was for children, like very clearly. It's pretty despicable.
So this is pretty hard to see. I'll read a bit of each one. Body part. Young children are getting to know their own bodies and are curious about other people's bodies. Not really. I don't recall being curious about other people's bodies, or unless you're a baby. Our bodies are amazing, helping children learn the anatomical names of different body parts, including genitals. How young of children are we talking? Because I have a feeling they're talking about very young, given the images. They say young children. I'm going to say under 12. Fosters their
Yeah, this
self-esteem,
isn't.
helps them open up to conversations about health and identity. Talk about genitalia when you are naming other body parts, singing a body part song, or while playing with dolls. This is so creepy. Imagine a movie scene where a person is with a child and they're playing with a doll and they get the child to start naming the genitalia of the body part. That's a movie scene about child abuse, about somebody
But
indoctrinating a child into child abuse.
But why would they want to do that? Because we're constantly told that, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever you think in your head.
Yeah,
So why
it's
are you even
true.
talking about
Why
it?
do you need to confirm? Why do you need to teach a child about gender when it doesn't exist? I mean, none of this makes sense. Gender assignment. Most of us are assigned a gender and sex.
False.
Exactly, by a medical professional. Yeah, like that doesn't even make sense at all.
Wrong.
Nobody says this is your gender and this is your sex at birth. No, they tell you what body parts you have, and therefore you are that gender. Often before we're even born. Oh my God. Throw out ultrasounds, they're useless. This assignment may or may not correspond to our internal sense of self. Beginning this conversation early gives young children more space to talk about how they feel about the guesses we made about their bodies. So on one hand, doctors don't know what they're talking about because they're guessing about a child's gender. But on the other hand, take 16 injections because this doctor is a scientist and therefore you have to believe them. The guesses we made about their bodies. As soon as your child knows the words boy and girl, they likely have thoughts on gender. No, they don't. They have thoughts about what you tell them. That's why they're a child. Unless it's something that's physically in front of their face, a fork, a spoon, a Nintendo, a TV, a blade of grass. If it's not in front of their face,
You're showing your age here. And
there's a Nintendo Switch. Okay, I knew exactly what I was saying, Eric. They don't have gender in front of their face, so how are they going to know to ask about it? They're going to ask like, "What's a boy? What's a girl?" They're going to hear about it, but their thoughts on gender. This isn't a thing that exists naturally. How do I know? Because I was a child. I'm going to Joe Biden mode here. Because I was a child, and my brother has 10 children, and I was also had friends who were also children. We never had thoughts on gender. You injected these thoughts into their head. Let's see what the next page is.
Absolutely.
We've got gender binary, of course. In many Western cultures, because all other cultures are better than us, except for the fact that, England and Scandinavia have said don't do this to children at this point.
Wait. Hang on.
Yes.
In the West, so are we going to talk about maybe
China,
the Middle East?
or
Are you
the
going to
Middle
talk about
East?
what they think about your weirdo gender
They're only going
ideology?
to refer to like sections of India or something, is my guess,
Okay.
where this sort of thing is tied into religion, the specific religions that they want. there is a pervasive belief that there are only two genders. It's pervasive. The normal, like the way they talk, they're not even smart enough, the people who write these books. And I know that sounds mean, but these are adults, so we can criticize when they're trying to harm children. They're not even smart enough to write properly about this. They write it from a angle where they're already correct. Like they're not and that's the manipulative and evil part about it. Is like this is a pervasive belief, as if the regular thought and the regular mantra has always been that there's all these different genders and you can't say otherwise, and nobody has ever believed in two genders. They're saying it's actually a pervasive belief upon the orthodox belief to suggest that there's only a man and a woman. That's the pervasive belief. It's seeping in to all the stuff we've always known to be true, Eric.
Yeah.
That these two genders should correspond nearly with a whole host of expectations about what girls and boys are supposed to do, like, and be. No. Again, no. All you have to do is say no to all this stuff. Just say no. This binary system is harmful to everyone. To those who do not fit into the rigid boxes of binary, which no one is saying, of course. Certainly, but also to people who feel comfortable identifying as a girl or boy, but would like more flexibility in how they express their gender. This is just teaching children to be selfish, and to be self-centered. I would like to be more. Why don't you recognize more about my gender, Eric? Why don't you understand that I'm actually more than just a boy? I'm actually a gender non-conforming, blue-haired two-spirit. Like me. Learn. Why don't you know more about me?
Gender queer demi femme boy, I think, or something like that. That's like the Tumblr age there. But this reminds me of the abortion issue in a strange way, because they constantly use these minuscule fractions, right? So the bin your baby bunch will constantly say, well, what about sexual assault, to put it nicely, and incest. Of course, those are basically the same thing, because you let me know when you find a consensual incestuous relationship and I will tell you that we have a completely different set of problems. But if you say, okay, well, we will allow you to bin the baby in those particular cases if you will agree not to do it in any other case. But of course they won't do that, because that's not really what it's about. So on the other hand, on this gender stuff, they say, well, they want to talk about intersex, and they want to talk about these weirdo anomalies that, of course, shout out to Anomaly, these weirdo what's the word for it? Deformities or something. They want to talk about these minuscule things that, of course, prove the rule, right? Those little exceptions are the things that actually prove the rule. And if you were to say, okay, we acknowledge that, but you gotta give it up on trying to turn regular kids into this stuff, they wouldn't do it, because it's not actually about that stuff. You see what I'm saying? They take these one little wedge issues and try to blanket the whole thing. And then when you say, okay, but that's how you know all of their arguments are completely disingenuous, right? So if I can agree to that one little thing, if you give them that tiny half inch, they're going to take a mile and say, no, we don't want to do it. We're like we saw in Toronto. Was it only a week or so ago, or was it Toronto, wherever it was in Canada, where they were trying to make them call all the kids
Ottawa.
they, which is just Ottawa. Okay, it's ridiculous. And I think I'm feeling, I guess I was feeling pretty black pilled, as the kids say at the beginning of this episode, on the voting side, right? Because I don't believe that these power hungry tyrants are ever going to allow, because look, in America, everybody knows, bro. The majority is not with this nonsense, but these people are not going to allow themselves to just be voted out. I don't see that happening. So that's the black pill side. But on the other side, culturally, I think we can all see it. Obviously, Bud Light kicked the whole thing off. It's starting to turn back, right? And you have kids now. We see the video of the kids who are saying, stop showing this to us. We don't want to see it. We have the people protesting outside of the Dodger Stadium, which I don't know if you ever got to the bottom of it. I think I know what happened. Did you figure out what that was all about?
I didn't figure out where the picture was from. He's talking about that there's a picture of barely anybody inside the stadium. That wasn't the end result. It was like they're not doing well, so they don't have a big crowd. But it was like it wasn't empty by any means. Like it wasn't like a huge boycott going on. There's just a ton of protesters outside, and they lost like 14-0 or something.
Yeah, well, and shout out to Mark Dice, the original YouTubers, right? Like Mark Dice has been there
Mhm.
since like 2000, like the first day of YouTube, he was there making videos, which is crazy. And so I do trust Mark Dice. Shout out to him. But what he pointed out was that they did the weirdo drag queen stuff like several hours before the game started, so that's why there was nobody in there.
Mm.
And then so nobody was there to actually see this stuff. The news can put it on and say, well, look how pretty this ceremony was. The drag queens were there, and the Dodgers capitulated to our every single whim. But they did it at a point in time when they knew nobody was going to be there, because if the stadium was full and they did it right before the first pitch, it wouldn't have gone well, as I understand it.
Well, the Dodgers are doing that bad. I just checked. So like, but people like to pretend that it was empty and it wasn't. And then another thing I saw, like people saying, "Oh, this was."
But if they really liked it, why would they not do it? Right? Why would they not do it at the seventh inning stretch? Right? Why would they not do it when everybody was there?
I don't
Right? They
know.
did it hours
Because
before it started because they knew it was.
Two of their own
We gotta
pitchers
throw
came
the.
out against it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and then people were saying, "Wow, they lost 14-0. This is God's work." Like, they lost to San Francisco. So if you think San Francisco winning is God's work, then God help you. Patriarchy. This is another page for the audio listeners. Another page from the book. Patriarchy may seem like a big word for little kids, but so is Tyrannosaurus, because teaching children about dinosaurs and the fact that their life is ruined by white men is the same thing. The truth is giving words to oppressive systems of power. This is just communism, Eric. And then empowerment and activism. Young children learn more by watching what you do than from what you say about your beliefs. Patriarchy, cis sexism, transphobia, homophobia, and the gender binary are baked into the culture of the United States. You know, when the founding fathers, when John Adams and
Yo,
and
that's
who else do you
crazy.
want to? Abraham Lincoln. I don't even know, but
Ben Franklin, who of course was never a president, but somehow ended up on the $100
they
bill.
were transphobic, obviously, except they were Whigs, which is
It's
pro-trans.
baked in.
It's baked into the apple pie of America. Patreon.com/UOPod. We have a bonus podcast there every week. And you can go to uopod.com to find all of our links. Eric's Report and Opine on Instagram. I'm Andrew Does. We both have our YouTube channels. You can find us very easily if you want to. Shout out a guy named Will in the chat. Shout out to, whose name did I forget? Zip912. Shout out to everybody on Getter. Who's got a very racially insensitive name. Shout out to that guy for being rude. I only want to point you out because you're rude and that's mean. And shout out to
What
anybody
about
watching.
Twitch? How are we doing on Twitch?
We have one person on Twitch. And shout out to anybody
Twitch.
on Rumble, which we just started showing on today. So if you guys can help us out and go to our Patreon, patreon.com/UOPod, we would most certainly love you. Did you end up watching the video I sent you of the Japanese guy dying while he played? What game was that? Did you watch that video? League of Legends?
No. I saw the picture. I didn't look at the video.
So this guy was
dude,
playing.
that was so dark.
He was died there
for 23 hours or something.
Yeah, and nobody. I was looking at the wrong guy. This guy was laying there deceased, and nobody noticed. I mean, a bunch of people look. This guy's sitting next to him. Then somebody finally comes, and they just hold him up to pretend. Like, and there's even video of it when the police come. And this is old too.
The first slide, did it say something about 23 hours or something? That's what I saw in the.
Yeah, for 23 hours.
Oh, 20. Okay, yeah, dude.
I guess this is China, probably. His name like Jung Yu. That's not a Japanese name. But that's just so wild. I just wanted to.
Dude, you need to pull up something a little bit more positive to end the show.
What, Taco Bell? You want to argue about Taco Bell before we go, Eric?
Yeah, this is much better. This is much more lighthearted than a guy. I mean, they've
got a new triple decker Crunchwrap Supreme, Eric.
Okay, and can I say this is? I'm not joking. Remember when we had the discussion when I was up in your neck of the woods about how You guys were ordering fries with your Taco
Yeah,
Bell, which I
what
thought
is
was
wrong
peculiar.
with you? You guys, Eric had a problem, everybody,
But
that Taco Bell and KFC and Harvey's, which is a place we have in Canada, was serving fries with everything. You're gonna act like you don't have fries and a drink with all your combos?
not with Taco Bell. But here's the point I wanted to make is that not too long after I got back, they literally started promoting Taco Bell fries. It was
Just
weird to
fries, or do
me
you guys
seeing
have
because
Fry
you.
Supreme?
Oh no, I don't know about that Supreme.
You're missing out, dude. You're telling me you don't want sour cream, chives, tomato, and cheese sauce on your fries. It's like chili cheese fries, but with sour cream as well.
No, okay. I just thought it was funny that it was a culture. I was shocked that you were ordering. I mean, you don't order fries with Taco Bell, and then
You do,
a month
dude.
after
It
I got
comes in the
back,
combo.
in like weirdo, America's Hatland. But then they started promoting them. I was out of Taco Bell, and they were promoting it like big on the like not the marquee. I don't know what you call it. The menu. The
The
menu.
Taco
And it was
Bell
like,
does a marquee tonight only.
it was like, try our new fry. I was like, no, and I didn't. I think I left my phone at home or something. There was a reason. I should have taken a picture, but I was like, dude, no way. There's fries here now. And then a couple weeks after that is when I specifically sent you a message griping, because the Taco Bell had really grinded my
Opining
gears.
even?
Opining even about how expensive it had gotten. I ordered the same thing that I typically get, like 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
the same thing went from $14 to $18, $14 to 18 and change. And I'm like, what did just happen here?
Yeah.
You just
You
added
can't
a
get
dollar to like
anything
every
here.
single one of my items.
You can't get anything here. Any fast food here for 2 people now is $30. It's insane. And
It's
I want to mention that their fries
ridiculous.
are not that good on their own. I don't get them, but they are damn better than the stupid cinnamon twists. Like, why do I want cinnamon twists with tacos? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Will says the Mexican pizza is back, homie. Still not as good as a Crunch Wrap. Still not as good as a cheesy gordita crunch. Wouldn't turn it down if given to me. Will, you better sign up for patreon.com/UOPod. Sign up,
Yeah,
Will.
I'm not.
I'll send you personalized message about Taco Bell the next time I order it if you sign up. That's
Canadian
like
Canadian Taco Bell.
I don't understand. This is the reason I think fries are so cheap, and that's why they sell them here. But in America, I see the commercials. You can't hide from me. You guys just get way more food. These KFC things where you get like 4 different things to eat for $5. Here they give you a deal, and they're just like, oh, it's only $14.99 for 2 meals. Like, that's the deal here. Like, if you're not shopping with a coupon for McDonald's or wherever, then you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. Do you guys have A&W?
I thought it was funny. Yeah, few and far between.
I saw a person in the drive-thru.
I've never been to one.
So, there's a drive-thru next to a gas station, and it's up on a hill. And as you drive in, you have to make a sharp U-turn. So basically, you're driving up to the gas station, and there's a sharp U-turn for the A&W drive-thru, and there's a piece of a grassy knoll in between it. And instead of, I don't know how it happened, but a person's SUV was teetering on the grass and the curb. I don't know how they got on there. If they tried to drive up, they veered off the road or what. But they were on the side of this hill next to the drive-thru. I don't think so. The guy who was standing out there was an Indian guy in a suit. And the kicker, Eric, was, and we'll finish on this, that they had tried to wedge their SUV off of the thing because neither side of the car, neither set of wheels was touching. They tried to wedge it out there with their ice scraper. A piece of plastic. They're trying to lift a car. Remind me of the video where the guy's trying to push his car away from a tree with his arm and just snaps his arm. It's a good video too.
Ooh, no, I don't want to watch that. But I thought it was strange that only a couple weeks after I mentioned that Taco Bell has just gotten through the roof. I'm obviously not the only one. There's huge Reddit threads and people are angry about this. So it made me feel fairly sane. No, dude, I'm done. It was barely worth it at 14. It's not worth it at 18 and change, bro. I'm out of here.
My classic one in high school used to be $13, and that was with so much stuff. But we'll leave it there. We're back on Getter. Maybe they heard our cries. A couple thousand people watching there. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, everybody on Twitter. and on Rumble. And we can't forget Twitch. If you're listening on audio, Spotify, Google, Apple, and Amazon, or even iShart please give us a review, a positive review, not just any review. And don't forget, patreon.com/UOPod. Take us to church, Eric.
Buy my book.
Shout out. If you were scared, motherfucker, go to church.
Turn it up, Jordan.